Okay. So welcome everybody. As usual, I will start the meeting off with pointing people toward the agenda and notes, and have everybody on their own read the updates that are there if you have not already. And as people read the updates on their own, I'm open to answer questions about those particular items listed there. So I think everybody has the ability to speak, right? To just push to talk if they want to ask a question.
Think so.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of people do
everyone
have their
has speak
mics muted, but I think that's more, it's not like server side.
Right. Okay. Cool. Meanwhile, I am going to mute and munch on a little pizza while I wait for people to ask questions.
All right. Well, that's underway. I'll just wait for you to mute there. I get feedback. There we go. Cover the, I don't know, something that people have been asking. So I'll just say it out loud just to make sure that everybody is aware about the vaccine requirements and general COVID-19 policies, since I think this is kind of our first meeting since we've really settled on that. With the caveat that some of this may change if official guidance changes, but the vaccination part in particular is not likely to change at all. The rule will be you must have either completed a vaccine series and received a booster shot, or big separate, completed vaccine series with your final dose between November 1st of last year and May 19th of this year. Basically, this is if you got your booster if you got your vaccine in the last 7 months or so. It's difficult to get a new one because the CDC is like, you should wait 5 months and then figure about 2 months is fair for giving people time to find the time to get their booster. So that's where it lines up for whether or not you need a booster. It will be required if your vaccine is completed prior to November 1st. And anybody who has not completed their vaccine prior to on or before May 19th will not be allowed to attend. No exceptions. We will make the same ADA required medical exceptions, but other than that, no exceptions. And regarding masks, for now, assume that they are going to be required. This one keeps changing. It always keeps changing. Seems like right up to the deadlines these days. The advice is if wearing a mask is something you don't want to do and is something that is a deal breaker, then we suggest you not book your travel or flights or anything, because at this time expect it to be required. And any questions on that in particular?
And then, of course, even if masks are not required, they will always be welcome. Obviously.
Yes.
Really quick, just so I'm clear, if you already have both your shots or one, you're required to have a booster as well.
Yes. Unless you have only recently gotten your vaccine series completed. The CDC guidance and pretty much all of the data is that the booster is pretty much required and is now considered part of a vaccine series. To be fully vaccinated, you have to have the booster.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, the only people who are allowed to not have the booster are people who have finished the vaccine so recently that it would be impractical for them to get it in time for the con.
Related question, how will that affect our process to actually check people in? Because I know that we had to have people checking dates on vaccine cards last year.
It'll probably be about the same. We will still be checking. For the reg team itself, of course, we'll make sure that they have the adequate information so they know what to look for. But there will still be the checking.
Yeah, I think it's kind of functionally the same process, but maybe there's a little more data to have to look at and make sense of, unfortunately. It'd have to be like, look at primary vaccination date. Is it before a certain date? Yes. Okay. Is there a boost? Well, if there's a booster, you're good. Right.
Yeah.
If there's not a booster, then a little more scrutiny is necessary to see if the date was too far back or within range. Yeah, that would be correct. Also, I should probably have that document open so I can make notes on it.
Yeah. Any other questions about that in particular, about the vaccine or masking policy?
When would you like us to, or social media, when would you like social media to be posting about the vaccine requirements? I'll probably hold off on the mask because that's kind of up in the air, but the vaccine requirements for sure.
We'll probably right before we make the announcement for registration. So we'll get that information to you for that. Since we don't want it to be, we want those to be as closely coupled as possible, so that people who are seeing the announcement to go that they can start registering will have very likely have seen the other announcement.
Yeah, I was about to also add in that the vaccine requirement should probably be just a tiny bit better clarified. Probably something along the line of just specifying each one, like you must have your Johnson & Johnson vaccine or your second Moderna or Pfizer, or your most current one. You must have had at least your second between November 1st and May 19th.
Well, that's why it's worded as have completed your primary vaccine or have completed your main vaccine series by X date or gotten a booster. Because, okay, yeah, we can spell them all out one at a time, but
It might save on.
I think everybody's sick to death of reading that over and over again.
Yeah, like I know, but I would hate for somebody to go to Twitter to be like, "Well, I didn't understand the rules, so BLFC's kicking me out."
They'll say that anyway. It doesn't matter.
I don't think we actually had very many issues with that last year either.
Well, last year we weren't really dealing with boosters at that point in time. As long as they had like completed their vaccination, they were good.
Yeah, and in this case, in short, if you've gotten your booster, you're good. That's the simplest answer. If you've already gotten your booster, you have nothing to worry about. You're set, regardless of when you got it. It's only if you haven't gotten your booster that your main vaccine needs to be fairly recent.
So this is something we probably want to remind people about.
Yeah, it'll be announced just before the reg announcement, basically.
And Reg is supposed to open this weekend?
I believe soon TM.
Yeah, pretty much. Soon TM.
We're going to wait for the dealer stuff to be finalized. And then, yeah, the goal is this weekend. But
yep.
Officially soon TM.
Yeah, effectively what we're trying to do is make sure that the dealers know that whether or not they got selected, so that they know whether or not they need to register so that they can join the room drawing. Because I believe, Crash, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have configured now that you have to be registered for the convention before you can enter the room drawing. Is that correct?
Correct. You must have an active registration that is paid before you'll be able to enter, and you must then also provide a unique credit or debit card for us to do one-time $1 authorization. We won't take that dollar. It's just to make sure that people aren't entering the draw multiple times.
Yep, and that card can be the same card you use to register.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I know it's a little off topic, but did anybody think that Crash sounded like a 1950s newsroom there?
Yes.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that.
I get really nervous when I'm on the spot.
No, it's okay.
Sorry.
It's like the kind of diegetic audio that's actually nice.
Pleasing background sounds.
And that base registration is required to sign up for the drawing. And if for whatever reason you are not picked in the drawing, you can of course request a refund, and you'll get that $60 right back. So
real quick, what was that about needing a unique card for the drawing again?
It's just simply that two people can't enter the drawing with the same credit card.
Okay, so if someone is fronting the cost for other people who are contracted and won't have the money ahead of time, there wouldn't be a way to cover that for them? Like, you just kind of be shit out of luck?
You would just have to use a separate credit card.
So
you'd have to use a different number.
Yeah, that card
Okay, so-
isn't the card that will be charged by the hotel for the deposit or anything. It's just for us making sure that a unique person is entering the draw.
Okay.
And then assuming you win the drawing, then when you're booking it will ask you for a card for the first night room and tax for a deposit.
Yeah.
right, yeah, and then you use whichever card you want for that purpose. It does not have to be the one you use to sign up.
Okay, and that can be the same card?
And it can be the same, yeah, but it doesn't have to be the same.
I mean the same card for multiple people's registrations, correct? Like, it doesn't have to be unique again?
Yeah, for registration, that's fine. One person can pay for, or one card can pay for dozens of registrations. It's just one card can only do one hotel drawing entry. So
Okay.
if multiple people are trying to share a room and they all want to enter the drawing, they all need to enter the drawing with their own unique credit cards or debit cards or whatever, which will see a $1 hold that is not actually a charge.
Okay, thank you.
It's basically set up so that way Mr. Moneybags, who has $1 billion, can't just go enter 10,000 times to then hog up 500 rooms.
Yep.
Yep, basically that.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no nice, clean, easy identity verification system. Most of them rely on some amount of credit card information. There are other options, but there's nothing that's universal.
So I'm kind of a noob with this room drawing situation. So GSR won't give another level or another floor for the con to use for con goers. Like, why is that?
We have booked as much of their hotel as they are willing to let us use. We are already using about 75% of that entire hotel, and they have to keep the other remainder of that for high rollers, contract rooms, things like they have contract with airlines to have a dedicated place for airline pilots, that kind of thing. So they have to keep some amount of rooms in reserve for them for their own purposes. And they've given us, for the last several years now, our room block at that hotel is as big as they can muster. So there are no more floors they can give us, so to speak.
And it sells out every year?
Oh yeah, rapidly. The last time, it was like, I think 3 or 4 years ago was the last time we did first come, first serve booking. And the entire 75% of the hotel that we had was sold out in 15 minutes. And the people who got rooms were the people who could type the fastest. And that's why we switched, or had bots, which is why we switched to the drawing process.
I was about to say 15 minutes is really generous. Like that website locked up after like 3 seconds.
Yeah. So so the drawing system does two things. It makes it fair for the people who can't run a bot or can't type a million miles an hour. And it also spreads out the load to passkey so that passkey doesn't fall on its face.
Passkey, in this case, is the system. Passkey is the system that handles the registration processing, or the hotel reservation processing. The drawing allows us to be like, hey, you have all week to do it, so people will do it when they're ready, instead of all at once.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And also, I haven't seen the actual contracts, but I believe they've also been helping us in like every year our shoulder dates, they've kind of helped increase our blocks there.
I mean,
every year.
saying they've helped is probably the wrong term. We have added rooms, yeah, so that now we have as much of the hotel as they are willing to give us for Thursday through Sunday night.
And a pretty generous amount for Wednesday because people are starting to show up early.
Yeah.
And we might be able to get more added on Wednesday if we need it as well.
Quick question in the chat. Rufus Ryan is asking if the CDC changes its guidance to include a fourth booster, how, if at all, will that affect our policies?
It will probably not. It would depend on the timing of the announcement. Generally speaking, with the vaccine rules, we take the stance that it is important for us to have a well thought out policy and make it very clear in public, and then not change it so that everybody is able to follow it to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
Like if the CDC changed their guidance tomorrow, we might consider revising it. But if the CDC changes their guidance in, April, we definitely won't.
The chat says there's 2 questions in YouTube. Can somebody echo those to me, or did you just do that?
One of them's about the vaccine requirement still being in place for the con, which I believe Verda went over earlier, though if you want to reiterate that.
Yeah.
Mask mandates, actually.
And the mask mandates, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, currently the policy is as in the agenda. I think everybody should be able to get to that link. Also in YouTube, it's the bullet point with a bunch of sub bullet points. Pretty easy to spot there. Currently, masks are required, vaccination is required, and boosters are required unless you have recently gotten your vaccine, to make it short.
The verbiage in the agenda makes it seem like masking might be maybe.
Yeah, so the masking stuff keeps changing, and so what we're trying to say is that if wearing a mask is so against what you're comfortable with that it would make you not want to go to con, then you shouldn't sign up, because it might be a requirement. But because a masking stuff can change closer to con with less of an impact on people than vaccine stuff.
Yeah, so I guess stated another way, masking may be required.
I should actually just say currently masks are required, and then this may change as state government guidance changes.
Yeah, I guess that's probably a clearer way to
just instead of the assumed part.
Express it.
There's another question in the chat. Will there be an overflow hotel like there was in the previous year before the shutdown in case the GSR sells out?
I do believe Clinton is trying to work on that.
It's definitely a situation of we want an overflow hotel. We may or may not be able to get one with the compressed time frame.
So watch this space, basically.
Yeah, I guess pretty much. It's like we're well aware that we would like to have more rooms. It'd be nice if there was more hotels closer.
Yeah, that's part of the problem. There are no viable overflows that are within walking distance. There's a couple of small like motels that are within kind of walking distance, and then everything else that could feasibly be an over hotel will definitely need a shuttle. And so if we end up with an overflow hotel, we will end up with one overflow hotel with a significant number of rooms so that a shuttle to and from that hotel becomes viable.
Yeah. Reno is built on the Southern California style of city design.
Just spread everything out everywhere.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like, there's almost nothing within walking distance of the GSR because it takes a quarter mile of walking just to get out of their parking lot and to get anywhere else that isn't their property. So, I mean, sure, a half a mile is not an unreasonable walk most of the time, but that does eat into convention time. And you don't want to do a whole lot of back and forth. It's more that the time is more valuable rather than rather than the distance. But yeah, we're trying. We have a couple of possible options for overflow hotels. It just remains to be seen whether or not they're willing to work with us.
Oh, I did want to ask real quick for Crash. Is that card requirement a new thing? I haven't used the lottery in 2 years, so I'm not sure.
That's a requirement that we've had for the past few drawings we've done, and I was about to say past few years, although we had a gap for a year because of everything that happened. But I believe we started that, correct me if I'm wrong, Tycho, back in 2019?
I think it's been a requirement since the very first time we did a drawing, actually. I think it's always been a requirement of the drawing because we don't want people being able to easily put in multiple entries.
It has been. It has been.
Time is slipping me.
I don't remember when we started doing drawings. It was either 18 or 17. I think it was 18.
I believe it was 18.
Was the first year that we did a drawing system. And also, I'm being very careful not to call it a lottery, particularly on the website, because using that word in Nevada is, I guess you could call it maybe like the opposite of search engine optimization. If something automated picks up on that word, and lotteries are actually not legal in Nevada. So even though if we call it a room lottery, it's not actually a lottery in the legal sense, but I'm trying to avoid using that word specifically because I don't want automated stuff picking up on it and then flagging us unnecessarily.
Also, technically not winning anything monetarily. Right. You're just getting a opportunity to get a room.
Right, that's why it's not a lottery, is specifically because you are not winning a prize of some kind. But a lot of people tend to call it a lottery because that's just the way people understand it best. I try to avoid using that word, but it's really just for that reason.
Raffle?
No, that is the correct term.
Raffle is the same thing as a lottery legally, so they're both just as bad.
A drawing is what you're looking for, really.
And a raffle is also illegal in Nevada, by the way. Note that for the dealer's den leads. They cannot do drawings or raffles or stuff like that. Not even for charity.
It is my understanding that there are actually a couple exceptions to that, but yeah, it's not something that we are going to ever be doing.
Right. You can do them for charity, but you have to clear it through Gaming Control Board first. Yep. And you have to ask for that weeks in advance. So it is not something you're going to be able to let any dealer do on site.
There's a question in YouTube I'm not entirely sure about. What about either redemptions and or negative tests? Are they not going to be allowed? And I don't know what they mean by redemptions.
So I can tell you what will be allowed. What the only thing we are allowing is if you're vaccinated. If you are not vaccinated, there will be the ADA required medical exemptions only.
Oh, they probably meant exceptions.
Yeah. So if you're saying, is there an exemption because I have a medical condition? Yes. If you're saying, is there an exemption because I don't want to get it, or because I am concerned about the technology, or because of religious reasons, the answer is no.
And if
the exact same rules as last time.
And those exemptions do need to be approved in advance. We also need to remember to mention.
Yeah, we'll get all that set up as we move forward. But
yes, those need to be told to us and approved and reviewed in advance. They will not be accepted on site.
That does bring up the quick reminder of make sure you have a copy of your CDC vaccination card.
We'll get to that. Yeah, that's far enough out in the future that we'll get to that.
The question to me sounded like, what if you'd just been tested before you came?
They did say that they meant exemptions.
Yeah.
Well,
they followed up.
Well, actually, they also did ask exemptions and or negative tests.
That's probably because most of the time. That's probably because most of the time, if you get an exemption, you're required to get a test to go along with it. That's how most organizations do it.
which I believe we require as well, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
For the very few people with medical exemptions, they are required to have negative tests.
So a negative test will only be accepted in place of vaccination if you have a medical exemption.
The only people who can come in without being vaccinated will be people with medical exemptions, and we will communicate to those people the specific requirements. It will require a test. I don't want it to be phrased as people who have a medical reason can just show up with a test. It's if you are granted an exemption, then there will be stuff to do, and we'll cover all of that, same as we did last year, with the fairly comprehensive documentation.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, how many exemptions did we give last year?
We're deliberately not releasing an exact number, but it was very few.
Okay.
It was, what did I say? I did the math and then I threw all the numbers away. I can say like it was under 50 out of nearly 5. Like it was under 1%. Like,
yeah, that's what I was looking for. Was like, what, just to get a general idea of what the chances were.
Yeah, it was less than 1% of the attendance. Those are our final attendance numbers, like 4,500 or so.
Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable to say that it was less than 1%.
Yeah, I know how many exemptions we have. I just don't know what the attendance was.
So don't bank on getting an exemption.
Well, I mean, I am the only person who looks at them unless there's a problem. But like I am the point contact person, so that there's not, so that more people, in case there's harassment and stuff, that it's just one place and it goes to me. We had almost no submissions that were unreasonable. I had a couple, but almost every single one was, of the very few that we got, were like, nope, this is legitimate. This is this is a valid reason. You have the whatever, whether it's the documentation or if it's this, you have the letter from the doctor, whatever it may be. Which I mean, I guess is a testament to furries that there's not a lot of them trying to BS their way into things. But I was pleasantly surprised.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad things worked out for the most part.
Yeah, I even had it was very, very few, like one or two, but who like got an exemption and then later emailed and be like, I actually just decided to go get the vaccine. You can cancel the exemption. Thought it was funny.
Nice.
I do know one person who like was advised against getting it by their doctor and went and got it anyway against their doctor's advice, and actually just took the risk of complications that their doctor had advised them of, and they lucked out and did not have those complications. But like, that does happen. Sometimes people that do have a legitimate reason for not getting it still just go and do it anyway, and because they decide the risk is worth the risk or whatever. Anyway, if there are no further questions on the updates, they're all pretty straightforward, I would think. I think Levi, you had something you wanted to talk about?
Yes, just some updates in regards to volunteer stuff. I have a little list here. First things first. I know a lot of people have volunteer applications in. If you have done so already, thank you very much. I do appreciate. We have at this time, I believe, approximately almost more than half of our normal volunteers have put their applications in. That's pretty unheard of. It seems that people are really excited to put in their volunteer applications early, so I appreciate that. Registration opens, that's when we'll start processing them. For staff, if you are staff, you've been told that you are going to be staff. Please, when registration opens, go in, select your level, and go ahead and fill out like your badge name, your t-shirt size, things like that. But please do not pay. When we approve your application, we just basically write off the cost of your attendance and process it on the back end. If you do pay, then we have to refund it, and it's just more steps.
Now that applies to people who are approved as staff members. That does not apply to recruits.
Correct. The second thing is, and this is more so for leads, what we're trying to do this year is get more leads to use the request system in Concat to request staff. I have several new staff members that are coming on board who are helping out with assigning volunteers to departments. If you put in requests, it makes their job a lot easier because they know where to put them. Shivano here has actually been reaching out to leads and will continue to do so, just to simply make sure that you have everything you need, address any concerns, and also we'll show you how to use Concat to request volunteers. In fact, I believe, and Shivano, correct me if I'm wrong, you said you wanted to do a small demonstration for anyone here, for any leads here after the meeting?
Sorry, I started talking and I was hardware muted as well. Yeah, so I do have like 1 or 2 leads that wanted to get that training tonight. If you are a lead, go ahead and message me on Telegram, and I'll just make sure to drag people into like a private room after this meeting. And it takes maybe 5 to 10 minutes to show you. It's pretty quick.
Something I would like from leads as well. Please go over your staff last year and kind of decide who was not staff, who would you like to become staff. We had a big issue this last year where leads did not request staff or did not communicate as such, and suddenly we're getting a lot of last second requests, and that's causing us to scramble and make new envelopes. And I just ask that people kind of try and do that in advance.
Right, so I guess stated another way, leads, please let us know who on your team should be considered a staff member so that we can make sure that they are appropriately set up as a staff member. And Levi, would you also please explain the difference between staff and recruit?
Sure.
For leads who may not know the difference.
Okay. Recruits are basically first-time volunteers. Let's say you're an attendee, you come up and you're bored, you want nothing to do, and hey, can I help out somewhere? That's typically a recruit. Staff is a more advanced position. Once you've kind of volunteered for a year, you've shown that you are trustworthy, you've shown that you're reliable, that you'll show up for your shifts, speak with your lead, and then we promote you to staff.
May I interject? There's another difference is also often amount of work. Like, you don't have to be a first-time volunteer to be a recruit. Somebody who just is happy to do a little bit of work each year is often going to remain a recruit, which is fine. Like, it's not like you're a worse volunteer. We still love you very, very much. It's just that some people would rather only do like 4 hours, which is great, right? 4 hours that somebody does is 4 hours that we don't have to cover somewhere else, and we really, really appreciate it.
Yes.
We just don't want it to feel like, if you're like, I do like doing this, but I only want to work for 4 hours or whatever, don't feel that we value you any less.
No, yes, that is not the case.
Question in the chat, how do returning volunteers find out if we can become staff? Answer in the chat, bribery. That is not the correct answer.
Here's my PayPal.
No. Talking to your lead for the year that you were...
That's a funny answer, but it is an incorrect answer.
Yeah, talking to your lead is your best first step. And then if you run into issues there, you can always contact HR.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
typically the way that works is your lead says, yeah, this person can be a staff member, and then we try to make a point of putting a record of that so that we know in the future, especially if the person changes departments, this person has been a staff member in the past. And typically, once a person has been a staff member in the past, they will continue to be a staff member in the future, with few exceptions.
Yeah.
Also, Levi, I believe we decided to change the minimum hour threshold for staff too.
Yes. This year, the minimum threshold for staff is going from 4 to 8. We only had just a small handful of, I think it was maybe about 4 to 5 people who only did 4 hours of staff, and they usually had extenuating circumstances.
Yeah, we have essentially no people who are staff who only request 4 hours, and really very few who request 8 as well. Almost everybody requests 12 or more.
Yep.
So there was just no reason to continue to have a setup for a 4-hour staff member, because there just aren't any of them.
Well, and we have decided that for the staff benefits, we would like people who are willing to work a little more.
Yeah.
Yep. That is about it. If you've not put in your volunteer application, please do so. It is the sooner we have your application, the better we can kind of decide where to put you.
I keep trying to assign myself to con ops, and I keep getting in trouble for it.
So who's going to assign Tycho to con store? Because he did such a great job with the roller racks.
Oh God. No, that's what I'm doing in advance to give you guys a hand. Well, it gives me a hand too, and also I just lucked out and stumbled across somebody selling a bunch of those restaurant racks for cheap. Which, actually, Verda, I need to talk to you at some point about how to do reimbursement on that, but we'll talk about that later.
Yep.
They sat outdoors for a little bit, so they have a little rust on them, but that's okay. It's not going to hurt anything in the con store. Pretty much everything's in bags, and it'll be in the back where nobody can see it. I would never build headless racks out of them. They're too far gone for that, but they're fine for merchandise. And we don't need more headless racks. We have enough headless racks at this point. I don't want to build any more.
Yeah, they're
They
fine
have
for
roller
warehouse.
racks and boxes.
Speaking of headless racks, has there been any discussion about whether or not those are coming back?
There has not been discussion about it yet. That is something that the COVID task force does need to talk about. And I don't know if we even want to make a decision yet, or if we want to defer that until a little bit later. Yeah, we may want to defer that until a little later, till the future isn't quite so foggy.
What was it again?
Whether or not to bring back the headless lounge head drying racks.
Gotcha.
Aside from that, on the subject of those racks, somebody, I don't know who, at Con took the power strips and power cords off of those that were zip tied in place and part of those racks. Please don't disassemble convention property to steal parts from them. Like, I had to sit down and put that back together last weekend, and I'd really rather not have to do that again. I mean, if they break, that's one thing, but somebody definitely took it apart to take the power strips and the power cords off of it, probably because they felt they needed a power strip and a power cord, and it was handy. And there are lots of those in operations that you can go borrow.
Another question from YouTube. Would it be possible the requirements could change if the mandates do continue to slowly be lifted?
No for the vaccine, maybe for the mask. There will not be a change in vaccine policy to loosen the rules. I can guarantee you that.
And that's because people are making their decisions on whether or not to attend based on those rules. So we can't change those rules now that they've been published, unless something legally forces us to.
Which is highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely, yeah.
Also, our primary interest is keeping our attendees and our staff safe. We have decided that one of the best ways of doing that is by having a comprehensive vaccine mandate. So even if the government says, we don't think you need it anymore, we're still going to go off of our judgment, looking at the available medical advice and scientific evidence and so on. And there's just absolutely no way that we're going to be far enough out of this in
Not by
months
June.
now that it's something that we will feel comfortable lifting.
It cannot get that much better that quickly.
It's only 4 months away. What the heck?
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't make me
Good.
think about that.
Like
It is
what?
104 days.
3.5 now.
Oh yeah,
I'm not panicking, you're
Three and a
panicking.
half.
Tycho, please push the con out a little bit longer.
103 days, 4 hours, 14 minutes. Not that I have a countdown or anything.
No countdowns. Do I need to set up the electronic sign in my living room with a countdown?
I mean, if that's a personal
No countdown.
decision, Kay, that's
You could always do that and then provide pictures of it every few days to social
Live
media. Or live stream.
Crash. I'm gonna mute you here. Hold on.
Hey, Josie, can you just set up on the con's YouTube channel a continuous stream that's just a countdown?
Hold on, I'm gonna mute Tycho here.
That just runs all the time.
We could.
That probably violates YouTube's terms of service somehow, I would assume.
It does.
Having just a random unattended stream that just runs forever.
It does. It does violate YouTube's terms of service. They will take it down and then like strike the account and probably disable it.
Yeah, I figured that was probably the case.
I've seen a ton of live streams that are like 24/7 with cameras and like
Yeah,
music.
the Chill Hop channel got taken down accidentally, and it made the longest YouTube video ever, I think.
Yeah, it was up for like months, if not years.
Yeah, insane.
Yeah, there certainly are plenty of them that are effectively radio stations, and they are definitely not actually attended by somebody all the time. But whatever. That's off topic. More on topic, I guess, Glitch, you can put such a countdown on the website if you want.
How about we not make these discussions in the middle of a meeting?
Get right on that. I'll put it on the homepage. Big numbers.
I think it's mostly just joking at this point. I have nothing more I'd need to talk about, or nothing more I specifically feel the need to talk about. If there are any future questions.
See the problem. Oh, that's the wrong one.
So
Good.
I don't know if it was meant. I think Art Gallery mentioned. Art Gallery signups were mentioned. Do we have anything on DJs?
They're working on that right now. The sign-up form should be up actually pretty soon, and I guess the panel form is already up. I forgot there was an announcement of that just a couple days ago that social media put out, and I don't remember whether or not it's up on the website yet.
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, good. Okay, cool. I'm glad. I don't pay quite as close attention to what everybody is doing because everybody just takes care of it and does it. Delegating is working, and it's excellent.
This is a good thing.
Yes.
I was gonna say the problem that we're running into with talking about the countdown is we hit Poe's law.
Poe's law.
It's the adage where parody views can start to sound like real views, and jokes can sound like truth, and it becomes impossible to distinguish whether somebody's being parody or joking or whatever versus if they're being real.
Like
humor. So POE', not POSE.
Yeah.
Got it. As in Edgar Allan Poe, I assume.
Nathan Poe.
Oh, okay.
All of the internet, none of the Edgar Allan Poe has not implemented any internet rules.
Well, no, but probably lots of parody. That's where I thought maybe that came from. Anyway. So, yeah.
Are there any other questions anyone might have?
Speak now or forever hold your peace until the next meeting.
Guess one question is, will we have the pool?
We should. That's the middle of it's June. They better have the pool open.
No more surprise construction.
Oh, more
Yeah.
I don't.
Surprise construction is very unlikely.
Yeah, that's usually scheduled for the off season, which we just happened to be in last time.
Yeah, and it sounded like even the construction was a surprise to a lot of people who weren't a lot of people at the hotel too.
The last 2 years have been an off season.
Well, but they didn't know how long that off season was going to last. Right? If anybody had a crystal ball and it's like, oh, okay, I'm not going to be able to have normal business for a year and a half, cool, perfect time to do my remodel. But at the beginning of it, it was like, okay, well, it's probably going to be a couple months, and then a couple months went by, and it's like, well, maybe it'll be a few more, and it just kept getting stretched out, and nobody knew like how much time they really had to work with.
Are there going to be any elevator banks out for refit?
God, I hope not. Actually, I think we might have even put a clause. I don't remember if we have a contract
Another
clause
question
for
from
that or not.
YouTube asking whether or not they're currently doing construction.
I don't know. They might be. This is the typical time of the year that they would be doing construction. They're probably still working on the pool.
They're still working on the pool.
Yeah. I can't imagine they would have finished that yet.
So, assuming that everything goes well with the pool, we should be having the pool party.
We should, yeah. There are several times that they've done work on the pool during the winter, and they have always finished by Memorial Day, because that is their own internal target of. They consider that sort of the beginning of summer, the beginning of the busy season is Memorial Day to Labor Day. Yes, I have those right. Memorial Day to Labor Day is basically their busy season. So they try not to ever have stuff like that down for remodel during that busy season. And our con is a week after Memorial Day, so it should be fine. Usually they're done a couple weeks before, because obviously they're planning, they leave margin in there, and sometimes they need the margin, sometimes they don't, just like any other planning task. I'm kind of putting words in their mouth, but just knowing how these things typically work.
I'll put another way. Yes, it's going to happen unless it doesn't, because there's no way we can know if something randomly happens. But
yeah,
if a small meteor hits the pool,
that's the universe trying to send you a message there.
But yeah, I would anticipate they will have that construction done at least several weeks before the convention, if not maybe a couple of months. And as before with the pool party, we are currently contracted to have the pool for Thursday and Friday and Sunday, but not Saturday, because they have the pool open later on Saturdays, and it would mean our private time would start too late in the night to have a practical amount of time to use. And that's been the case for the last couple of years too.
No pool
where
till dawn.
Saturday is skipped.
I mean, it's still 3 more pool parties than most cons have, so I think we're good.
Yep.
Quick thing on IT. Radios. I can't remember if we said we were going ahead with changing how we did the radios to fix the issue we have downstairs near the dealer's den.
Well, I'm familiar with them. I shouldn't be the person in charge, but at the moment I sort of am for radios. And the hotel lead and myself are having a chat with their in-house AV about the possibility of renting some of their in-house radios instead, since they have a system built into the building for that purpose.
Okay.
And
yeah,
actually,
sure
that's a good reminder that I need to get back on that conversation with them, because I need to see if they've made any progress on that.
Perfect.
That'll be nice.
But yeah, if we do end up renting radios from the hotel, however, we're going to have a lot less of them, because they are not going to be cheap.
Might I recommend
there will definitely be a checkout process as well, and people will be responsible for like paying for a lost radio, and they will be like $500 if you lose them.
Might I recommend then only doing it for leads in specific departments that need it up to ops and probably flare?
we'll make sure that it's done in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, but ideas like that are being discussed. Yes.
Is this a radio system that if we had our own programmable radio, we could listen in on?
I don't think so. I mean,
no, I don't think so. Actually.
Yeah, but by the definition of a programmable radio, yes, but no, I don't think they'll give you the codes or whatever is necessary to access it.
Yeah, no, I've not encountered a hotel that would do that as of yet.
And I think their in-house system is relatively unusual too, as I understand it, from what limited information I know about their in-house system.
Can we get a radio for the VM desk then?
We'll take care of it.
Yeah, we're not going to discuss the specifics right now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we still don't even know if we're going to be renting them from the hotel or continuing to use our own as of right now. So it's way too early for questions like that.
It should be basically anybody who is in a position where they need one should be able to have one. It's just not going to be as casual.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of expressing it.
When you have radios sorted, please let me know so we can discuss it. AV is not stomping on you.
Right. Any further questions?
Going once? Going twice? No.
Nothing else from YouTube?
In that case, if there were any leads that needed to be shown that request feature, go ahead and message me or kind of stay in the meeting room here, and we can drag over into a private room to do that.
Yeah, I will suggest that you use one of the public side channels.
I can also make one under the staff communications chat.
I'm able to drag people into Teton, so it does show PII, so I got to go into private.
Oh yeah, if you're using Discord for sharing.
Yep.
Yeah. I think we're done. Psycho?
Okay.
Exciting. Can't wait for the convention.
Yeah. I'm excited too.
I'm both excited for the upcoming con and for the year that we will have to do the next one.
Yeah. Having a little more time frame to work with will be nice. So, okay.
It was 10 months since the last one, right? I mean, compared to the next date we're having.
It was in October. End of October.
So the planning cycle for this convention has been compressed to from the normal 12 months down to 8 months.
Yeah.
Or wow. I think it was actually even 7. So yeah, it's been a little hard. So sorry, everything's kind of running late this year.
It's fine. Well, how little time you had, you're doing a good job.
Okay. So, thanks everybody for coming.
Awesome.
Glad to hear everyone's lovely voices again. And meeting officially adjourned.
We hanging out in lounge?